My name is Reagan, and I'm a reader. And as a reader does, one day I was scrolling through Goodreads in search of my next 5-star read. When I came across the Goodreads Best Book Picks of 2024, I said to myself, this is it. My next 5-star read has to be in here somewhere. That's when I knew I was reading all of the best books of 2024. That list of books looked a little something like this. Out of this list, I had already read the romance, romantasy, and young adult fantasy picks. And I wasn't interested in reading the fantasy pick, the horror pick, or the genre in general, and the young adult fiction pick because it was the 5th in a series. So that left me with these 4 books. And that's where the first part of this video starts off. Hello my friends, it has been a little while, but we are going to continue reading for the best books of 2024. Starting now with The Wedding People by Alison Esbach. I still don't know how to say her name. I'm just like obsessed with this cover. We're gonna start reading this today. I will update you on my thoughts. As far as I know, it's about our FMC who goes to like a small inn, apparently in Newport, Rhode Island, and she is the only one in this entire inn that is not a part of like the wedding party. An incredibly nuanced and resonant look at the winding past we can take to places we never imagined and the chance encounters it sometimes takes to reroute us. So I think it's just about like her finding herself, like maybe midlife crisis vibe. I'm 75 pages in. The book is split up very interestingly. You go by day. So like it started on a Tuesday, which was the opening reception, I think. Like the chapters look like this. They have no numbers or anything. They just like start on a page. So far I'm really enjoying it. What I didn't know when I started this book is that our main character Phoebe, and this is like within the first like 15 pages that we find this out. So I don't think it's a spoiler even though it's not on the dust jacket. But Phoebe takes herself to the inn to kill herself after her husband had like an affair. And then she meets the bride of the wedding and they kind of like form a friendship. And I think Phoebe's not gonna kill herself at the end, but I don't know because I haven't gotten to the end yet. It's very dry, but in the sense of like dry humor. So like the writing is not flowery. It's a very dry, matter-of-fact tone, which I am enjoying. And it's also very introspective. It talks a lot about depression. It also talks a lot about the pandemic, which is sort of pissing me off. I didn't know it was like a pandemic book, and like that's fine and everything, but I think in my experience it's a little too early. Like I don't want to be reading about that. I guess it is a lit fic, so it's like less about escapism and more about like a character study. I really do like our main character Phoebe, and I'm starting to like the Lila, the bride. At first I kind of like was annoyed by Phoebe, but there's a few things I've underlined. Phoebe had been raised to feel sorry for everything. Sorry for being born, sorry for almost drowning, sorry for getting an A- on my exam, sorry for not bearing children, sorry for not getting to the last 2 slides of the PowerPoint. Sometimes Phoebe sent her class apology emails after lectures when she didn't finish on time because she was a good professor, a good woman. But where was the line? When did Phoebe being good become Phoebe being nothing? Which that hit me a little too hard. And then there's this other quote about clothing that I thought was good, because wasn't that the point of clothing? To prove that you were normal, to prove that every day, no matter what, you were a person who could put on a shirt. I don't know. I just really like that. I really like the writing so far. I keep calling it dry humor, but it's not dry humor, but it's like dry in the sense of very matter of fact. Not like cutting corners, but we're also not taking the time to like create this flowery sentence to describe something. It's not about like description. It's about emotion. And so it's very dry cut, like telling you how the character's feeling, telling you everything cut and dry, because I think Phoebe at the end of her life, or so she thinks, is realizing things, and there's no reason to not realize them because she's done. You know what I mean? So okay, The Wedding People. I'm now about halfway through. Thoughts. Every character in here has something so relatable about them that you can see yourself in everyone. It's not just about Phoebe changing her life. It's about Phoebe changing everyone else's lives and everyone changing their own life. This could be a 5-star read if I'm being honest. It will depend on how the romance element goes, because I'm a little nervous about that. The situation that our main character could be in, potentially. Currently, I'm on Thursday, which is it's like the bridesmaid's day or something like that. I don't know. Thursday, the bachelorette party. That's what I was trying to say. It's going by super quick. It reads super quick. And I think my favorite part about this book is the writing. It's so different from anything else I've ever read because of how dry it is. The sentences are very short, but they're not choppy. It's matter of fact. It tells you exactly what you need to know and then moves on. It doesn't linger on anything. It's like a thought crosses Phoebe's head. She acknowledges it and it goes away. And it's all about her like healing journey. I'm gonna keep reading. Hello, good morning. It's been like quite a few days since I updated you on finishing this book right here, and I want to go back and talk a little bit more about it, concluding thoughts and feelings before we move on to the next book and final book, might I add. What do we have going on today? Right now, I'm eating my breakfast. I have oatmeal with blueberries, strawberries, and chia seeds, and also some crushed walnuts. Delish. I'm an oatmeal girl. Like, I know a lot of people who don't like it because of texture and everything. I've liked it my entire life. We also have my matcha of the day. It was a strawberry matcha, vanilla cold foam. I made it with almond milk, I think. And then also, of course, I have my Awala. Initially rated this a 5 stars, and I think I'm going to keep it as a 5. I'm not one to think about the books I read after I read them, so that makes it kind of hard because everyone's like, oh, if my book's 5 stars if I think about it after I read it. Well, I never think about books after I read them. Maybe for like the hour after, but like weeks later, no. I'm always moving on to the next thing. But with this, I'm thinking like, the characters touch me. Every single character conveyed a message about life, living, depression. I've also talked about this before, but the writing was so unique. It's almost like, I've talked about this before, but when you feel your frontal lobe developing, you have these realizations about yourself. Now, this is just what I've been experiencing in the past few weeks, but you just have these realizations about yourself that are so simple, but they like change your perspective on yourself. And I feel like that is what this entire book felt like reading. Like, the main character kept having snap realizations about her life and her situation because of her depression. The writing just felt like constant, I don't want to say self-actualization because I think that's the wrong thing. I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. It just felt like a bunch of self-realizations all wrapped into one book, and it made it really interesting because you could place them into your own context in your own life and be like, wait, I do that. It was also interesting how the author used the context or the setting of a wedding to convey things about like broader themes about life. A wedding brings a large group of people together that wouldn't normally be brought together, and they all have this one common unit, this couple. Event of a wedding as a kind of metaphor for the performativeness of life, how everybody performs to a certain extent for the public eye. Our main character was suffering very heavily from this, so her being able to see it in the setting of the wedding party made it very clear cut, and you were able to draw connections very easily. I just really enjoyed this book. These characters were so real, and every single one of them brought something to the table. Even the very distant side characters that we didn't see their perspective, we saw them maybe once or twice, added so much to the story, and each character was very deeply fleshed out and had so much nuance and detail, even if they were only relevant in like 2 scenes. It was just done very well. I think I am going to keep it as a 5 stars. As you know, the next and last book is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This is the thriller pick. I've been told, though, to not go into this expecting a thriller, to go into this expecting more of a literary fiction. So I'm currently in the middle of a book right now, but as soon as I finish that one, I'm going to pick up this and finish off this video. I'm so excited to read this. I think this is the one that I was most excited to read. I've saved it to the last one because I want this one to be like the bang. Like, I want to go out with a bang. This one be my favorite, but obviously that's me putting a lot of pressure on it. So I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm really excited. And this is by far my favorite cover. Like, this is gorgeous. Future Reagan will get back to you when we start this one. I've gotten about, these are my initial thoughts, like very initial, because I've gotten about 50 pages into this book out of 500, so like 10%. What am I thinking? I'm thinking that the writing is beautiful, which I've noticed is something that is very consistent among the best books I've read so far. Probably should have happened and like makes very much sense. The timeline and the characters and the point of views switch very often, but I'm having not a hard time. Like, it's pretty easy to keep track of where everything is and what's going on, who's telling you everything. I'm still in the very beginning, so I am like, oh wait, who's this again? But then the way it's written and everything is very easy to differentiate. So initially what we've learned, I've kind of went into this book blind, is that we are in a camp in the 1970s, and it's like the summer camp that's hosted on this like reserve that is owned by a very rich family, and the very rich family's daughter goes to the summer camp for the first year. Towards the end of the camp and the season, her counselor wakes up and finds that this kid is not in her bed and that she is missing. And this is set like in the Adirondack Mountains. So it's very, very dangerous to get lost there because it's so big. I don't know, it's just not a great place to get yourself lost in. And we've already figured out what the title means, which I really, really liked. Instantly connect everything. Like I'm like, okay, I know what we're focused on. And it's almost like the woods. So for our character in the book, which I really like, and I think that this could turn out to be a top contender for one of the best books I've read in the year. I hope I'm not saying that too early. I'm currently tandem reading it because I'm really into tandem reading right now, audiobook and physical at the same time while I annotate. I've done audiobooks before and I've done physical books before, but I've never done them together, and I've recently started doing it, and I've recently noticed a difference in how I'm feeling when I'm reading and my focus. So I'm sitting out on the porch reading, quite obviously. As you can see, I'm reading The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I'm all at once loving and hating this book. One, the justice system in this book is so effed up, and it reminds me of the justice system IRL, which really pisses me off, but I think it's like, I mean, it's meant to. God, these characters are so annoying, yet I understand them all at once. The misogyny, just generally I feel like angry for and at the characters. I also really like the writing because of the way it allows you to psychoanalyze the characters. Like, the writing doesn't have to tell you things about the characters for you to be able to pick them apart. Of the way it's written, you know the inner workings of each character's thoughts because the POV changes so often, but the way that you know the things about the characters lets you know deeper things about them that they themselves don't realize or don't tell you. The mystery of it all is getting very good. I'm about halfway through. I'm on page 214, and I just want to sit here and read, and like this setting is very fitting for reading this book, I think. So one thing I'm realizing while I'm reading, normally when there's a bunch of POVs in books, there's like always one that I'm like, like, can we skip this one? There are no skips in this playlist. There are no skips in any POV, and that is kind of crazy because there's always one that I don't like as much. But I'm like happy to read each POV. I'm not like, oh, go back to that one. I'm like just along for the ride. You know how people say they would or wouldn't survive in some fantasy worlds? I know for a fact I would not survive in this book. Camping, first of all, no. Second of all, being able to walk in the woods alone, I would die. The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I'm on page, let me look, 426, which means I have about 40 to 50 pages left in the book. Things are getting crazy. First thought, how in the hell did anyone figure out anything with no technology? The way that they're investigating is all by word of mouth. Like, how in the hell did you trust anything that anyone said? Things are going crazy, and I know that everything is connected, but I want to see where things all connect, how they all connect. I basically haven't put this book down for the last 24 hours, and I only have a little bit left to go, so we should be done with this within the next hour. Yeah, I'm literally gonna sit here and binge the rest of the book this morning. I woke up, immediately put in my AirPods, and grinded on this book. Another thing I've been noticing, all the Greek mythological references kind of relates to the title, but we've had quite a few more. I'm actually spooked. Like, people were saying that this wasn't really a thriller, it was more literary fiction. I'm spooked. I was scared to go to bed last night. I don't know what that says, but I am spooked. I was like, I have to put this down or else I'm gonna have nightmares. It's not like jump scare, but it's like eerie. And that's like the thing that I don't love is like, now I'm scared to go into my bathroom because I think there's gonna be someone hiding there. It got me. But I'm gonna finish this. It's done. I'm completely finished with this book. I think I have to sit down my reading. I think I'm gonna go for a walk, but I think I have an idea of what it is. I've gone on my walk, I've got my matcha, and we are going to talk about The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I finished this book about 2 hours ago this morning. I have it fully annotated. I don't know if you can see any of that, but I fully annotated this book. I thought this book was on track to be a 5-star. Until the last like 30-40 pages, the ending was satisfying, but it wasn't what I wanted. It also, to me, didn't feel very realistic, especially since the rest of the book felt very true to the justice system and the time period and everything like that. The ending to me felt a little bit like the author wanted a happy ending and then just made that come to fruition. I don't think that if this was real life, that's how it would have played out, honestly, but maybe it would have. It did catch me off guard. It was like a good plot twist. It wrapped everything up together very well in a neat little bow. However, I think I wanted it to not be a neat little bow, to have me feeling a little bit of a sick pit in my stomach after I finished reading it, which is how the rest of the book left me feeling consistently. So for the last 30 pages, supposedly the most exciting part of the book, to not leave me with that feeling felt a little bit like, oh, we went out of character for the rest of the book. Online, I've seen a lot of people cry at the ending, and now after finishing it, I understand why, but it just didn't get to me like that, because I think if we didn't wrap everything up so neatly, I would have cried for the characters and everything. More like I would have been more emotionally impacted if the ending had gone differently. I'm trying to say this without spoiling anything. It was a really good book. I think I'm gonna end up rating it 4 out of 5 stars. I think it is a really good book. I would say, like everyone else told me, don't go in expecting thriller, go in expecting literary fiction, because I think I went in with that expectation. I was way more thrilled than I thought I was gonna be. So that is the 4th book and the final book of the video done. After thinking back on this whole experience and reflecting about the 4 books I've read, all of them were above 4-star reads for me, and that is very impressive. There was a lot of genres that were out of my comfort zone, which is unusual because typically when I go out of my comfort zone, I don't rate books as highly because I'm not used to them. I'm not sure what my rating system is, but I've overwhelmingly had a good experience with all of these books, which is super strange. I've had 2 5-star reads in this challenge, which is very good. My thought process, I would trust the Goodreads Choice Awards picks. I would trust the popular opinions of other readers because I think books are popular for a reason. They might not all be for you, but generally, people know what they're doing. In the case of this book, as well as the other 4 we read, was a good choice, and I'm so glad I read it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't watched part 1, go watch part 1. I love you all. Thank you so much. Bye.